Hi devs, welcome back to another part. Um, so just a little recap. In the previous part, we went through how to design our form using WPF and the grid system. So we created a base grid which contained 3 rows, which was for the title, the body, and then the buttons. And then we created another grid inside that with another 3 rows, so the title, the description, the from, and the to, and then we split that into columns too. So we've placed in the first column the label, in the left in the center column we've put the text boxes, and in the last two we've got buttons which will go for browsing for a directory and to save that to a settings file that we're going to create. And actually, that's what we're going to do first. We're going to create the settings file. So it's very simple actually. First, what we need to do is we need to click this little electrical, a little lightning bolt, and come down to loaded. And then if you just double click inside that, this will open up our code and create a little stub for us, and we'll just put our code inside here. So I want to comment it as we go along, make it nice and neat. So we want to create or load our settings, and to create our settings we're going to create a method which is just going to be a void, and we'll say create settings file. And then inside here we are going to comment it again, and we're going to, let me just have a quick think. So to create it, we're going to need a few other methods. So we're going to need an XML document. You'll need to hover over that and using, and then we're just going to say xdoc u meant. And then inside here, in fact, let's go back up to the top. We'll just create a string, and we'll call it settings file path equals, and we're just going to put it in our root directory. So we'll do application dot startup path. Okay, so we actually need to reference our Windows forms, which is the easiest way to do it. So if we just come over to references in the right hand side, right click on that, add reference, and then we'll find forms, and we'll reference that there. And we'll need to say Windows dot, actually we won't, we'll do system dot Windows dot forms dot application dot startup path, and then inside the, oh no, sorry, then we'll say plus and then the backslash. I didn't know whether it needed the backslash or not, but I suppose it does. Settings.xml. And then we'll comment this. Settings XML file path. It's always good practice to comment. I try to do it all the time, but I never ever do. So we'll do XML document doc equals new XML document, and then we'll say we'll say doc.load, and then we'll pass through our settings file path, and then at the end of this we need to return it, so we'll do return doc. And then let's create another method, and we'll just make this one a void, and we'll say save XML settings, and we're going to need to pass through an XML document there, which will be doc. Call it xdoc. And then inside here, all we need to do is xdoc.save, and then again pass through the settings file path. Save XML document, and then return the XML document. Load the XML document. Instantiate instance of the XML document class. So now all we need to do is we will say var doc equals xdoc. So this is doing all the work for us, otherwise we would have had to put this in here. In fact, actually we're creating it, so we don't even need to use that now. What we need to do up here is we need to see if the file exists. So we'll say if file dot exists, and we just need to reference the IO system.io. If the file exists, and then inside here we'll do XML. We'll do settings file path. So if it doesn't exist, and that's what this little exclamation mark is at the beginning, it's saying if the file doesn't exist, then run this bit of code in here. If file doesn't exist, run this code, which will create the file. So we'll say file.create, we'll pass through settings, and then we can immediately close it straight after. Create the settings file. So at the moment this file is completely useless, so what we have to actually do is actually write to it. So we're going to use the XML writer. So write to the XML file. If you want to if you want to format your file so it looks like an XML file, so it's got your tabs and it's formatted like you would read it nicely, you would use XML writer settings, and then we'll say x settings equals new XML writer, and then under here we'll say x settings dot indent equals true. I'm not going to do that because it's not. In fact, let me just quickly show you how you'd finish that. So you'd then come here and you say XML writer equals new equals XML equals XML writer dot create, and then you'd put your settings file, and then you'd do your settings. So you do X setting. That's how you'd do it. Like I say, I'm not going to use the indents and stuff because it's literally like one line of code that's going into it, so it's very unneeded for what I want. But that's how you do it, and it makes no difference to. Oops. Let's get rid of all of that. It makes no difference after that. So we'll say writer dot start document. This is starting the XML file. Then we'll say writer dot write start element. Let's name our tag. It's just going to be settings. So we need to think of this now like we would an XML file. So that's opened a tag. We need to actually close that tag. So I like to do it straight after. So we'll do writer dot end element, and that's opened and closed that tag. So that we can think of this as it being slash settings. And inside here we want to add an attribute, so we'll say writer dot attribute string. The string wants to be from, comma, and we'll just leave that blank. And then writer dot write attribute string. There's going to be two attributes, and then we're going to put 2, comma, and then leave that blank too. So essentially that's our file done. We just need to end document, and we need to flush it, and then we need to close it. So let's just make sure that we know start settings and settings from attribute to attribute. Might as well do these ones as well now. Start document end document clear buffer and close document. It's looking nice and filled. So that should now essentially create that file, but only if it doesn't exist. If it does exist, then we do nothing because it's unneeded. So we can test this actually. Let's just diagnostics dot start, and then we can put through our file, our settings file, and then once that's created, it'll open that settings file. But obviously we need to reference this bit of code. So now, if we load up our application, might take a few seconds. Hopefully, there we go. And that's our this is what our file looks like that we've just created, and it works really well. One thing that really frustrates me is this little tool window. So we're going to do a few things with that now. Just going to select it, I'll go back over here, can resize, no resize, and start up location. I'm just going to put center screen just because it always annoys me. So that's that. That's the file created, so we can actually start writing to it now. But before we do that, in fact, let's just, because we've already created the process, we can just click on this little open settings button, go scroll to the top and then double click the click, and then we can just say, in fact, we can just copy it. We'll just do that. Open the settings file. Let's just give it a quick test. We shouldn't have to wait again. And then we just click that and then it'll open up. Excellent, that's exactly what we want. So now what we want to do is we want to click this and have it show us a dialog. And this is where the forms that we added earlier comes in handy. Oh, I thought I'd added it. I did add it. Oh no, I didn't. I added it here. We are going to have to reference that. So let's do using. In fact, no, because it does complicate things. We can just put it to the beginning. So unfortunately, really weirdly actually, and I just don't get it at all, but WPF doesn't have its own browser dialog. Directory browser dialog. So you have to create it yourself. Well, you don't have to create it yourself, but you have to use a reference to the Windows WinForms, which isn't too problematic, but it's a little bit irritating. So we need to reference that. So we need to first do that, and then folder browser dialog, and then we'll just call it fbd equals new, like that. And then underneath here we're going to go fbd dot description equals choose a from directory. Choose a directory you would like to back up. And then we'll just do fbd.show dialog. Very simple. So now now all we want to do is do the from look, what did I call it? location text box. It didn't pop up. Dot text equals FB. In fact, actually, let's put this into a. We'll put this into an if statement so that it doesn't bring back an error if we didn't choose anything. So we'll do FBD. If FBD dot selected path does not equal null, then we can say from. Did I spell from wrong or something? Form, that's why. I was wondering. Let's rename that before it confuses us. So we'll do from location textbox.text equals fbd dot selected path. Put the selected path from the file, the folder browser in the from location text box, and then that's finished. And then we'll do the same again for this one. Double click. We'll say, I'll just copy that. In fact, let's just copy all of this. Highlight it. Oh, in fact, no, I won't do that. Choose a directory to save the backup to. Swap these around, and I think that should be alright. We'll soon find out. So now we've got them, and these just need a bit more code. So to do this, we're going to create a method so we don't have to repeat ourselves. So we'll do void save to settings. We're going to pass through an attribute, string attribute name, and string value. So here we'll do void doc equals xdoc. We'll say doc. We'll say actually we don't need that. We'll just say yeah, we do. Void settings equals doc dot get elements by tag name. Settings, because we're looking for this, our first element, settings. And because there's only one, we just need to use a number. Usually we'd use a for loop and use I in place of this, but all we need to do here is settings, and then we'll put in square brackets 0, because we're using the only one that there is. Attributes dot get named item, and then the named item is attribute name dot inner text equals, and then value. So now, rather than having to write this twice, we can just do this once and then just reference it. So we'll just do save to settings, and then inside here we'll do from location text. Oh no, sorry, that's the value. So this will just be from, and then from location textbox.text. Sorry, at the end of this as well we need to save it, but just before I forget, so we'll do save XML settings, and then we'll just pass through doc, and then we'll need to do the same again for this one. Double click, and then we'll just do save to settings, nope, save to settings to, and then to location textbox.text. And then after this, we'll just show a message to tell them that that it's saved. We'll do attribute name dot plus saved. Saved successfully. And it's going to be system dot windows sorry, I'm being silly. Dot show. There we go. Because if I would have used the thingy up here, the forms up here, I would have got an ambiguous error, which is so irritating, because then you have to do it anyway. So anyway, beside the point. So let's just put save the to location to the settings file. Save the from location to the settings file. Okay, so if we load it now, nothing's going to happen. Obviously, we haven't saved anything yet, but even if we opened it after we'd saved something, nothing's going to happen. So what we need here is to create, I'm going to create a string get location from file, and then inside here I'm going to do string attribute. Again, we can we only need to do one rather than writing out all that code to get something from the settings file. We'd need to write this, something similar to this every time, but because we're going to use this, it's going to make it easier for us because we'll do it once. So we need to go to that settings file. So to do that, we need to do var doc equals x document. In fact, let's create a string result, and then at the bottom we'll return result. Equals it needs to equal something to return it, so then I've just made it equal to nothing. So we've got that, so we'll say var settings equals, in fact, var setting equals doc dot get item name, and then inside this we will say attribute dot inner text. Oh, sorry, no, that's not right. Doc equal dot get named item, and this is where settings is. And then under here, this is where we'll say result equals doc dot get setting 0 dot attributes dot get named item, and then we'll pass the attribute what we're looking for dot inner text, and then we'll return whatever it is. So create empty string load the XML file, get the attribute specified, and then just return the result. So now if we come back to here, so actually what we need to do here is come down to loaded, and we'll say we'll do try catch we'll do it in a try because it might not actually have anything. It might not exist, especially on the first run. So we'll say, in fact, no, I don't. Yeah, we'll put it in a try anyway, just in case. But we'll say get. We'll say from location textbox.text equals get location from file, and then we'll just pass from, and then to location dot text equals get location from, and then we'll pass to, like that. Okay. Is that complete? Well, this bit maybe. Let's just give it a quick test. So the file already exists. So let's try and just choose any directory. Let's use that. So it saves the fact it's putting them there. That's fine. If I click that, if we open this file, as you can see, it saved it in the right where we wanted it to save it. I think that's pretty successful, if you ask me. We can open the file dialog. We can open that. The only thing now that we need to do is actually the backup. And I really wanted to do this all in one part, but I feel like it's actually dragged on a little bit. So I'm going to do that in the next part, which I'll be uploading pretty much at the same time. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next part.